Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Kraken The Cryptic, where I may be looking a bit quizzical today. We're going to be trying this puzzle on the screen. I've just read the rules. These are remarkable rules indeed. It's a puzzle called Hell's Bells, and it's by Christounet, and I'm a massive fan of Christounet's puzzles. And you may say, Hell's Bells, yes, it's got the 666 making an appearance in the grid, and there's a genuine bell as well. So it's a slightly unusual theme. Let's put it like that. But the reason that this puzzle exists is nothing, I think, to do with the devil. It's actually to do with the solver and sometimes constructor. I've done one of her puzzles on the channel, at least one actually. No, I think I've done two. Very clever. Bellsita. And Bellsita. The reason this puzzle exists, and this is why I'm feeling quizzical, is that Bellsita has achieved it's a feat of solving 666 Logic Masters Germany puzzles since she started watching Kraken The Cryptic, which I know wasn't that long ago. And I thought, this cannot be true. I mean, you think about how hard the average puzzle is on Logic Masters Germany. It's not trivial. So I looked it up. And this is Bellsita's record. And you can see, if you just, every few minutes, Bellsita is solving a new puzzle. And many of these are not easy. 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty. I don't know if I've quite got the window right, actually. Let me shrink it down so that you can see the difficulty of some of these puzzles. I mean, many of them I've done on the channel. I think I've done 10-0 by Codec. I think. Eddie's by Codec. That rings a very vague bell with me. But look, and then there are pages upon pages upon pages of these solves. It is absolutely remarkable. So I think we can conclude from this that Bellsita, she is a bona fide genius solver, as well as being a superb setter. And Christounet has made this puzzle to celebrate 666. Goodness only knows what that number will be by the time this video goes out. I know not. But I do know that is an incredibly, incredibly impressive feat. Well, in fact, Bellsita wrote to us and said that she would love to see this solved on the channel, and in no way was she bigging herself up. She was saying this is an extraordinary puzzle, and she wanted Christounet to know how much joy this puzzle gave her. So that is testament indeed. We could hardly ask for somebody more experienced at solving brilliant puzzles to give us a recommendation. So this is obviously going to be good. It's a slightly daunting rule set because it contains the dreaded Schrödinger cell. And I don't have much news for you today, so we're going to kick straight into this. Just the normal appeal. If you do enjoy the channel, please do consider supporting us either by subscribing or joining us on Patreon. That would be really, really most appreciated. And yeah, let's just get on with the puzzle, shall we? So these are the rules of Hell's Bells by Christounet. Normal-ish Sudoku rules apply. Each row, column and 3x3 box contains the digits 0 to 9 once each. To enable this, one cell in each row, column and box is a Schrödinger cell, brackets S cell. It contains 2 digits, so it has 2 personalities at the same time. It is both alive and dead. So, you know, somewhere so there's 1 in each row, column and box. Okay, so that's something we're going to have to remember. We're going to have to play Sudoku with our S cells. For the purposes of the other rules, the value of an S cell, so the value of a Schrödinger cell, is the sum of its 2 digits. The values of the digits contained in the small white circles must each appear at least once in the 4 surrounding cells. For example, at least 3 of the 4 cells surrounding this white circle must have a value of 6. This is so absurd. This is so absurd. So normally, of course, this would be absolutely impossible to be a quadruple clue because you couldn't put 3 6s in that 2x2 without breaking the rules of Sudoku. But because because this puzzle could involve Schrödinger values, well, it must involve Schrödinger values, I suppose, you could have a situation where, let's have a Schrödinger colour. What colour should we make our Schrödinger cells? It's got to be, hasn't it? Fluorescent green. So we could have a fluorescent green here, and these two squares could add up to 6, and they could, well, I was thinking, could they be 6, 0? Maybe they can't. But anyway, that could be like a 2, 4. This could be a 1, 5. That could be a 6. And now you've achieved at least 3 6. You could even have another 6. So I think in theory with this rule set you could have a quadruple clue with 4 6s in it. We don't have one of those, but I think that is in theory possible. I mean, it's absolutely mad. Now there's one more rule. There's a region sum rule. Where's that? Right, blue lines must have an equal sum n within each 3x3 box they pass through. So what does that mean? That means, e.g., row 1, column 3 plus row 2, column 3. Row 1, column 3 plus row 2, column 3. There is an example here. So these two cells equal row 1, column 4 plus row 1, column 5 plus row 1, column 6. So those 3 cells equal, presumably, row 1, column 7 and row 2, column 7. Yeah. So these different coloured strings would have the same sum. And then it says, if the line enters the same box repeatedly, each segment counts as n separately. Right, so what that's getting at is, do we have the line entering? Yes, okay. So that the bell, look, it goes into box 5 once here, in those two cells, and it goes into box 5 again there. Now what we don't do is add up all 4 of those cells to come up with the value of n. Each time the line cuts into box 5, the segment it creates is treated as a separate colour for the purposes of these rules, basically. So these two will have to add up to whatever the number is for the bell. These two will separately have to add up to whatever the number is for the bell. And different lines may have different values for n. Okay, so that's as expected. Now, that's the rules. Do have a go. See if we can do hell's bells. See if we can deal with the devil and pay homage to the solving skills of Bellsita and the setting skills of Christounet. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So, well, I'm thinking I've got to think about this. And there is at least one Schrödinger cell in this sequence, isn't there? Because we could put 2 actual 6s around it like that, but then we couldn't put a third actual 6. So there is at least one Schrödinger cell in this 2x2. Yeah, and this is going to be horrible. I've suddenly realised that all of the usual tricks I use for region sum lines are not going to apply here. So I was about to think about this cell. And normally when you have a 3-cell line in one box and just one cell in the other box, you can immediately write 6, 7, 8 or 9 in here, which would be a very interesting 6, 7, 8 or 9 if it was a 6. But because these squares could only be a 1, 2, 3 triple at least. But here, this is so absurd. This could be 0, 0, 1. I mean, it could be 0, 1, 2 adding to 3. So this could have a minimum value of 3 if this was 0, 1, 2. Wow. Okay, so we need something else. On the basis this clue is not giving me much, I doubt these clues are giving me much. So it's probably the bell we've got to look at, isn't it? So what's the bell saying? The bell has got an... right. Wow, okay, so I can see things about this bell. These cells look interesting. Right, yeah, there's an X-wing of Schrödinger cells here. Not a sentence you probably get in normal English conversation, but there is an X-wing because let's do some colouring around this line. We know that we know that if we were to divide the bell... I've just thought of something else as well. But anyway, that's a separate point. If we divide the bell into its sections, let's use different colours to do this. You can see that we're going to get something like this pattern emerging. Let's use orange. That could be green. That could be grey. And this could be, what colour are we left with? Blue. There we go. That's not too bad, is it? So this pattern exists where each of these different colours has the same total. But these are in the same row of the Sudoku. So how can these both be the same number? Well, the only way they can be is if one of them is a Schrödinger cell and adds up to the other one. And as one of these must be a Schrödinger cell, the other one isn't. I realise that's an obvious thing to say, but there's only one Schrödinger cell in each row. So exactly one of these needs to be a Schrödinger cell. But exactly the same logic, look, applies in this row to these two cells. Which means one of these needs to be a Schrödinger cell to prevent these having the same digit in them. And that means... well, that means if we look at this column and this column together, and we ask facetious questions like how many Schrödinger cells are there in column 3 of this puzzle? Well, the answer is one Schrödinger cell by the rules of this puzzle. And there's one Schrödinger cell in column 7 as well. But we've just said there's one Schrödinger cell in those two and one Schrödinger cell in those two. So we know that in these two columns, the two Schrödinger cells that we know exist in those cells. So there are no Schrödinger cells in any of these cells. Which makes me wonder whether what I've got to do here... do I have to keep track of cells? I probably do. Okay, I'm going to completely restart the puzzle. Because what I want to do, I think, is to note that in each of these dominoes there is a Schrödinger cell. I don't know which way round it goes. And in each, therefore, the rest of these columns are pure. They are not Schrödinger cells. And the other thing that we can conclude, of course, is that we can't have any Schrödinger cells in the rest of these rows either. So we're going to get a little pattern of green. Maybe I need a different colour for that. Maybe I shouldn't contrast fluorescent green with light green. So I'll make purple. So purple's going to be our colour for Schrödinger cells. Oh, right. Okay, so these are not Schrödinger cells. But we know there must be at least one Schrödinger cell around this 2x2. So one of those is a Schrödinger cell. Which means, does it that one of these is a 6? I think it does. Yes, okay, in fact, it means one of these is a 6 as well. Yeah, hey, here we go. Actually, our devilish clue is useful because there are 3 cells around this 2x2 that have a value of 6, but only one of those is a Schrödinger cell. There must be 2 actual 6s. Which is quite interesting. This is already fascinating. It's completely mad, but it is fascinating. Now we're going to get scuppered by the fact we can have zeros on strings of digits, aren't we? So one of these is Schrödinger. The other one is the actual total for these 3 normal digits, but one of these could be a 0. So, I don't think we're going to be able to have like a total of 3, are we? But like 0, 1, 2 is what I'm wondering about. No. Yeah, I can come back to the thought I had earlier. The top of the bell has 4 different digits in it. So the minimum, if one of those was a 0 even, we could have 0, 1, 2, 3 as the minimum, which would be 6. So the absolute minimum value for the n on the bell is 6. But it's not 6, is it? Because in each one of these pairs, well, yeah, it's not 6 because there's a 6 here looking at these 2 cells, and one of these 2 cells is not Schrödinger. It is the actual total for n on the bell, the actual digit, and that digit cannot be a 6. So this cannot be 0, 1, 2, 3. But more than that, it has got a 0 on it. There is a 0 in one of those squares because there is an X-wing not only on Schrödinger cells here, but there is an X-wing on n, the value that each coloured segment of the bell adds up to. So imagine it was 9, the number. There's going to be 2 9s there or 2 9s there. And the other limb of the X-wing will be the Schrödinger cells, which would then have to add up to 9. Now, that means that what we can't do is have an n that is higher than a single digit. So this cannot not have a 0, because then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 at a minimum. The triangular number for 4 is 10. So there's definitely a 0 in here. There doesn't quite have to be a 1, because if it was 9 for our total, this could be 0, 2, 3, 4 and add up to 9, which is very annoying. But we know that the total is 7, 8 or 9. And I don't know how to tell which of those it is. Sorry, I'm scanning the grid here, trying to work out how I mean, if it was 7 or 8, there would have to be a 1 in here. Because 7 in 3 digits, well, because I'm counting the 0, I'm putting the 0 to one side. 7 in the other 3 digits would be 1, 2, 4. 8 in the other 3 digits would be 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. 9 is the outlier that could not involve a 1. These are normal. These are normal. How on earth? Oh, I see. Right, okay, so where's 0 in row 7? That's quite a good question, probably. And the 0 can't be in these squares, can it? Because these cells are adding up a sequence above them. So we can't put 2 zeros in box 6. So none of these can be 0. None of these are Schrödinger, so they're each containing a single digit. And if you were to put a 0 in one of these, it gets interesting, because imagine one of these is 9 and normal. The other one, would, if it had 0 in it, would have to be 0 and 9, and that's going to put 2 9s in the row, so that doesn't work. So the 0 has to be on this string here. And the problem with that is that takes all the tension off this line, because if it had to be different digits, I feel that would have been more useful. Is that the 0 restricted here as well? Again, 0 couldn't go in these two cells, but 0, no, 0. No, 0 can go anywhere. That's annoying. Can I get more Schrödinger cells? Where are the Schrödinger cells? There's no Schrödinger. Yes, okay, sorry, look, I can do more greening. I hadn't done the greening associated with this one. So now, can you put a Schrödinger cell on the top of the bell? No, you cannot, because that in effect would be saying that the top of the bell sums 5 different digits. Even if we say one of those is a 0, which it is, the other 4 digits would then add up to a 10 at least, and that would break the fact down here. We know they're summing to a single digit total. So all of these are not Schrödinger cells. So the Schrödinger cell is in a very small pocket of digits in box 2. Now, if we put the Schrödinger cell on this thingy at the top, what are we then saying? We're saying we've got 4 digits, not including 0. Hang on. Can we do a trick here? If the Schrödinger cell is on that sequence, I'm actually wondering about those 7 digits then. Well, they would in effect be 8 digits, wouldn't it? Let me think about this. So if the Schrödinger cell is up here, then these two lines combined are adding up 8 different digits, one of which is a 0. So the minimum sum of the remainder would be 28 if we take the triangular number for 7. So I'm conjecturing, I'm hypothesizing that the digits within these 7 cells are, and there are 8 digits, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know they add up to 28. Now, that's impossible. That is impossible. Because even if I make this add up to the most it can add up to, which would be 9, then this is adding up to at least 19. And that means this and this are adding up to at least 19, and that doesn't work. That is absolutely beautiful. So this is the Schrödinger cell, which is going to allow us to do more greening in. So the middle box has got a Schrödinger in one of these two. The Schrödinger... Why am I not surprised by this? So the Schrödinger cells in... Oh, hang on. There's no Schrödinger cell in that. So there's a 6. There's a real 6 in this one. But there might be a false 6 in these two. Because the Schrödinger cell has found its way into the 2 by... It's not Fistemafel, is this? No. Oh, sorry, I just suddenly thought, whenever you find a puzzle that's looking at the 2 by 2s in the corners of the grid, always be thinking about our old friend, the Fistemafel ring. But no, that doesn't seem to be terribly overlaying on Christounet's bell, does it? Okay, well this is good though, because I feel all of a sudden that we've made a bit of progress there. So actually, we now know that these are... So it's now 21, isn't it? Is the minimum. Because we know there's no Schrödinger cells in those 7 different cells, and one of the cells is a 0. So the other 6 cells could have a minimum value of 21, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. And if that's 21, but these add up to their maximum, which is 9, then these have a minimum value of 12 each. So this is at least 12. That's the most useless total. That's so mean. That's really very mean. I don't know what to do with that. All right, let's try that trick again then. Well, maybe we can do the same trick in box 4 is what I'm thinking. Although, maybe, actually, maybe. What is the minimum value of those squares? Well, that's 6 different digits. So it's 15, isn't it? If I put 0 as one of the digits, and I don't put a Schrödinger cell on them, then I would get... I could have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is 15. Right, so these two squares add up to at least 15. So they are a minimum of 6. We couldn't put 5 in here because the other digit would have to be 10, at least. Okay, right, so this congregation of digits in box 6 also has to have 0 on it, because otherwise they would add up to 21, and we know the maximum value these could have is 8, 9, which is 17. So these not only have 0 on them, they have to have 1 and 2 and maybe 3 on them. If they don't have 3 on them, they would be a minimum of 0, 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, which is 18, which is more than 17. There is a knowledge bomb for you. So that doesn't work. So they do have 3 on as well. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. And then if it doesn't have 4 on it, it would have to have 5 and 6 on it. But if it does have 4 on it, it could have 5, 6, or 7 on it. Nah. So, what does that mean? Right. One thing that means... Right, here's a little trick we can do with that. Yes. How can that be a Schrödinger cell then? If that's a Schrödinger cell, it needs to contain two digits which are not 0, 1, 2 or 3. And it needs to add up to a single digit total. So it would have to be a 4-5 pair, adding up to 9. But it can't be a 4-5 pair, because if it's a 4-5 pair, the other digits I have to put into this sextuplet are going to be at least 6 and 7. And 6 and 7 plus 1, 2 and 3 is 19, which is more than they can add up to. So that is not a Schrödinger cell. That is crazy. But that is huge, isn't it? That is absolutely huge, because now the Schrödinger cell has to be there in this row, and therefore there in the other. So these are both Schrödinger. That is now not Schrödinger. So these two digits are the same number. We need to record that somehow. Let's use A. These are because these are the real totals for n, unadulterated by Schrödingerness. These are adding up to A. And A we know is not 6. So these two digits are from 7, 8 and 9. And they are the same. Oh, it's really nearly good, isn't it? Look, it's really nearly good, because if we can get rid of 6 from here, we've got a 7, 8, 9 triple. And if 6 is here, then we know it's 6 and 9, and we know exactly the composition of that sextuplet. And this would be a 6, 7, 8, 9 triplet, which is a weird thing to say, but one of them would be a Schrödinger cell. Oh, yes, okay, that's obvious, isn't it? We can't put a Schrödinger cell on here. Yeah, or we'd be adding up to 21. So the Schrödinger cell is in one of those two squares now, because it's not here. That doesn't do anything. Well, it greens those, but it doesn't do anything extra. Yeah, we sort of... these are now green because of this one. So there's a Schrödinger cell down there. We've nearly done all our Schrödinger allocations. It feels like this row is under pressure, doesn't it? But the problem is that these... Well, I was going to say these can have 0 on them, and therefore they don't have to be that big. Yeah, actually, okay. Can we do maths on this then? And we might have to avail ourselves of the secret, which bizarrely in this puzzle still applies. Because, okay, here there is a Sudoku secret. It's something I only tell my favourite people. But I'm going to share it with you, because if you're still with me in this mental puzzle after half an hour, you deserve to hear it. And the secret is that any complete row, any complete column, and any complete box of a Sudoku contains the digits, well, normally it contains the digits 1 to 9 once each, and they add up to 45. In this puzzle, it contains the digits 0 through to 9 once each, and it still adds up to 45, so the secret still works. Now, that means I think we can come up with the possible values of those 4 cells by thinking about the value of this cell. Because if this is 7, for instance, then this string of digits adds up to 7, and this Schrödinger cell adds up to 7. Yes, okay, so one way of thinking about this is that these cells add up to a multiple of 3, which is either 21, 24, or 27, which means these cells add up to, well, 24, 21, or 18. Right, well that is useful. That has done one thing for us. In fact, it's done... Oh, it's pretty, actually. That is prettier than I first gave it credit for. Yes. Okay. So here is my question. Is it possible for those cells to add up to only 18? And I don't think it is. So we're thinking now of the situation where this is 9. So let's put 9 in here and let me explain. If this is 9, these add up to 9, and this Schrödinger cell contains digits that sum to 9. So these cells add up to 27. By the secret, these cells add up to 18, but we know that these add up to at least 15, which requires these to add up to a maximum of 3. Now, even with putting a 0 in one of these squares, the minimum value we could include here would be 6, wouldn't it? If we put 0, 1, 2, and 3, that's the minimum, and they add up to 6. So there is no way that this can add up to 3. So there is no way that this can be a 9. Now what I've just noticed is, if that can't be a 9, now this... The only way that this domino didn't involve a 9 is if it was a 7-8 pair. We know it's adding up to at least 15. So the only way of not having a 9 involved would be a 7-8 pair. It now cannot be a 7-8 pair because that will break that square. So there is a 9 involved here. Definitely. Unfortunately, we still don't know whether it could add up to 15, but we know if it does, it's 9, 6. Now, okay, so I'm going to think about this again now. So if this was 8, this is 24, this is 21. And that is absolutely pristine in terms of how it works, isn't it? We can do 21, we've just seen how. The way to do 21 is to make this add up to 15, the least it can add up to, and make this add up to 6, which is the least it can add up to. And that would force this, it would force everything. It's probably right, I think, this, because it would force everything on these lines. This would have to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would have to be 0, 1, 2, 3. And that doesn't work. Ah, that's weird. That's absolutely beautiful, though. That's beautiful. I think I could have got this before. No, well, I could have done, but there was no reason to think about it before in this way. Yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. Right, this is not 8. The reason it's not 8 is worth thinking about. If you could spot it, or if you haven't spotted it, pause the video, give yourself a couple of minutes and see if you can see why. I will tell you it's to do with box 6. And for those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. The reason this cannot be 8 is that forces this collection of digits here to be 0, 1, 2, 3. And that's all very well, except once you think about that. How do you make this Schrödinger cell add up to 8 if it can't use 0, 1, 2 or 3? What it can't be is double 4. You can't put 2 of the same digit in a cell. So there is no way, because 3, 5, 2, 6 and 1, 7 are all unavailable. And that's beautiful, because this now does it. It's going to be less powerful, I think. Although I'm not sure about that, but it does mean we now know the value of n for the bell. It's 7. Now, oh no, I was about to write 1, 2, 4 in there, and then I forgot there was a 0. Right, this is now not that. It's not 7. Right, here we go. Here we go. So the top of the bell now, which is 4 digits that add up to 7, cannot involve 6, can it? That's got to be 0, 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4. There is now a 6 at the top of the grid on this line, which I will think about momentarily. But let me just think about the rest of this. I just want to think about the rest of this. What does the maths of this row now tell us? These add up to 21. If they added up to 15, so that these would add up to 9, because that would be 36. So these add up to 9. So these add up to 9, 8, or 7. No, not that many options actually, because we can't use 7 here. So this is either 6, 9 adding up to 15, which means these add up to 9, or it's 9, 8 adding up to 17, which means these add up to 7. And we know if these add up to 7, they're very restricted, because they'd have to be 0, 1, 2, 4 again. And that is impossible, surely. I'm just going to double check my arithmetic there, because I didn't trust it. If that's 21, which it is now, in fact, it is 21. And this is 9, 8. That's 38, isn't it? So these have to add up to 7. And that's fine in terms of this domino. But it's not fine here, because the only way we can do that is exactly the way we've done it up there. But this is a Schrödinger cell that needs to sum to 7, and it can't be anything. It can't be anything good. It can't be 1, 6, 2, 5, or 3, 4, so it doesn't work. And that means that this is, it doesn't involve 8. So that is 6, 9, which means these squares are now exactly equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These two squares are 6, 8, and 9, but one of them is a doubled. One of them is Schrödinger. This is a Schrödinger cell, and it's not 1, 6 now, because it's C6, so it's 2, 5, or 3, 4. And now this is 21. So these add up to 9, don't they? They don't use 0. They're not 2, 7. They're not 3, 6. So they're 4, 5, or 1, 8. How could it be 1? How could you possibly have an... Oh, you can. Ah! Oh, that's... This is absolutely mad. You could have a 2-digit number adding up to 1 on this puzzle, because you could have a 0 here. I'm looking as to why that's not possible. And a 1 here. So if there's a 1 in either of those, you could have a 1 on its tip with a 0 in one of those squares. And I can't immediately see why that nonsense is not allowed. Oh no, it is. It is. We are in the world of nonsense, because I've suddenly had the thought about where does 8 go in row 7? Well, it doesn't go on a line that adds up to 7, because although this puzzle is strange, it doesn't have negative numbers in it. So the 8 in this row is over here, in a pair that adds up to 9. So this is 1, 8. Which means one of these lines is 0, 1. And that 0 has to be in this configuration. There has to be a 1 in one of those squares now. And there has to be a 0 in one of these squares. So these are not 0, and these are not 1. And this is now either 3, 4, or 2, 5. There's nothing about non-repeating of Schrödinger cells, is there? I was just wondering if I could therefore assume these were different. No, I don't think I read that in the instructions, so I don't think I can assume that. I mean, it's one of these puzzles that I'm solving this, and I'm just thinking, this is wonderful. It is just wonderful. 6. Yes. Look, there's a sort of X-wingy type thing on 6s in this column. Where does 6 go? Well, it's in these columns, but it has an effect on this column. 6 is not there. 6 is not there. So there is a 6 in one of these cells, but that means the Schrödinger cell in here is what's completing the quadruple clue. So there is a 1, 5, or 2, 4 in here that adds up to 6. Can I do that? No, I haven't got anything like that on the other side. This side is much less busy, actually. mean, we have all the magnificent big lines in this one. All right, I'm going to come back and think about this combination. Like, can we say, for example, there must be a 3 on here, mustn't there? If there was no 3, it would be 5, 6, 7, it would be 18 at least. That's too many, because I can't make these add up to 18. I can make them add up to 17, but not 18. So this does have 3 on it. And it's got 6 on it, so it's got 2 digits that add up to 9. The minimum it could be is 3, 5, 6, which would give 40. So these are at least 14 now. Right, I'm gonna pencil mark these then. So they are definitely, they can't have 4s in them. They can't have 7s in actually either. So they could be 14. If they're not 14, then it is 16. It's not 16. Wow, okay. That's interesting. So you can't put 7 up here now, because this would I think cause this triple to add up to 16. And then we'd have to put 7, 9. That's the only way of getting 16 in 2 normal cells. But the 7s are ruling that out. So this is either 3, 5, 6, or it's 3, 6, 8. But if it can't be 3, 6, 8. The reason it can't be 3, 6, 8 is that 3, 6, and 8 add up to 17. In theory, a gettable number. But you'd have to put 9, 8 on both sides. And because there's an 8 here, there'd be an 8. 2 8s in row 2. So that doesn't work either. So this is 3, 5, 6 by hook or by crook. And therefore these add up to 14 in each case. And we can see, oh, look. Well, there's 3, 5, 6 here. So these are not 5, 6. So this becomes an 8, 9 pair. That's definitely not 6 then. Now, can we do anything with that? I know this isn't a 6. These are therefore not 8s and 9s, because so this becomes a 5, 6 pair. I mean, what on earth am I meant to do with that? So these are different, aren't they? So one of these is going to be, see, that one could be 8, 6. But if it was, this would be 9, 5. Oh no! Oh my goodness me! This is all forced by this clue, the clue we started with. There's a 6 looking up here, so this can't be 6, 8. That's got to be 5, 9, which means this has to be 8, 6, and that gets lots of things done. Right. Wow. Okay. Okay, now watch this, because this is now Christounet is letting off fireworks in the puzzle. This is absolutely spectacular. Okay, now you can see we've got 6s in the first 2 rows already. So these 6s in the corners have to be made up by their Schrödinger cell, because I can't write 6 into any of these 2x2s, because Sudoku has prevented me from having 6s in those 2x2s. Now, what sort of 6s am I allowed to write in? Well, in theory, it could be a 1-5 pair or a 2-4 pair, but there's 5s here as well. So I can't put 5s in here, which means that each of these combinations contains the digits 2 and 4 in a Schrödinger cell, and that means these cells cannot be 2 and 4, because they're going to see we've already had the 2 2s and the 2 4s in rows 1 and 2 already, and they are in these cells. So this is not a 2 4 pair. This is a 2 4 pair. Okay, now look, right, so we know these squares are 7, 8 and 9, don't we? And we know that one's Schrödinger. Right, and I can do this, so I can do a bit more now, because I can, I think, I hate these Schrödinger cells. I'm so bad at working out what they do. But I think this means that 9 in this column has to be here, doesn't it? There is a 9 in one of those. Even if it's a Schrödinger, there's a 9 in one of these. So this is a 9, I think. So that's not 9. That is the Schrödinger 7, 8. That's a 9 by Sudoku. 9 I want to write into that square. So we've got 3 9s in the grid. We've got a Schrödinger 7, 8, but that doesn't do anything beyond obviously knocking 7s and 8s down. Oh no, actually it does put a 7 in up here. Okay, I'm going to pencil mark that. And the same is true over here. We've also got a 7 in that. Okay. I mean, what? Okay, what do I do now? We pause quietly and meditate on the nonsense that we've been forced to engage in here. Okay, I mean, I thought this was going well for a moment or two, but I don't now know what to do. Let me think. You'd think after making all these deductions, some of which I think have been quite decent deductions, that I would have some clue. Just a little clue as to what to do now. 5. Okay, alright, 5 is ruling itself out of that cell, so that is not a 2 5 pair adding up to 7, so that's become a 3 4 pair. And because this is 3 and 4, you can take 3 and 4 out of those squares, so this becomes relatively more modest. These only have the ability to be 1, 2 and 5. So I think 3, 4 and 5 have to be in this little 2 by 2, but one of these is a Schrödinger cell, so I'm not sure how useful that is. I mean, what on earth am I meant to do now? I haven't got a clue. I've literally not got a clue. I mean, what could it be? I know these add up to 9, don't I? Is this somehow impinged upon all of the ways I could get to 9? So, okay, the other two. Yes, okay, so one way of thinking about this is the other 2 cells here have to add up to 8, don't they? Because the ones sort of cancel each other out in an equational sense. Now, they're not 1 7, and they're not 3 5, so there's a 2 6 on there as well. So this is 0 1 2 6. We know these are not 0. We know these are not 1. It's almost pretty. So if this was 1, this would be 1, this would be 0, this would be 8, this would be a 2 6 pair. How do I know? There's a 6 here, isn't there? So that's not 6. It's not. It's nearly doing it. It's nearly doing the business. So if that's not 6, That's not 2, presumably. So this is either 0, 1 or 2, 6. One of these squares is a 2, 4. But I don't think we know which one, do we? Not sure. I don't know what to do. 9 in the middle box. 9 and 8 can't go on the strings that add up to 7. That's certainly true. Yeah, okay. Actually, look at this row. 8 and 9 are in these 3 cells. I hadn't noticed that, but that can't be 9. And that one can't be 8. It's so difficult to see. There's a 6. I don't know, do I, what the Schrödinger cell that adds up to 6 is. Yes, oh, I do. That's it. Right. Look, there's a 2, 4 there. So the Schrödinger cell here must be a 1, 5. This is mad. So that's a 1, 5, 6 combination, which means it gives me a 3. Good grief. Now this is properly restricted. It might, in fact, be impossible. It's impossible. Messed it up. Ah, what did I do wrong there? You can't make this domino add up to 7 now. Can't be 1, 6, 2, 5 or 3, 4. Can it be 0, 7? I mean, that's ludicrous, but can it be that? Why couldn't it be 0, 7? I knew these couldn't be 0, 7, but why couldn't that be 0, 7? Oh, we're saved. We're saved. 0, 7. I'm going to go for that. So that's not 0. Right. Okay. So now, where does 8 go in this column? It can't go there. It's got to go here. That's a sort of weird single. And this square, I think, is 2 or 4. And it's part of something that adds up to 7. So if this is 2, this is 0, 5. Let's put that in. And if this is 4, this is 0, 3. So this is from 0, 3 and 5. But there's a 5 down here. There we go. So so this is, yeah, so this has to be 4 now, and go with a 0, 3 pair, which I shall just get rid of that corner 0. So this is a 0, 3 pair. This is a 4. Therefore, this is a 2. This is a 4. Four can't go there. A 4 is on the line. Yeah, because this is a 3, 4 pair. It's both at the same time. So 4 in this box is on the line where it must accompany 3. So that's a 3, 4 pair, which does this. Is so beautiful. This is just a ridiculous puzzle. I'd love to know how long Bellsita took to solve it. It's probably like 2 minutes or something, but this is beautiful. Right, so this is 1, 5 and 6. That's going to be hard to remember, but that is true. So these squares are 2, 7, 8 and 9. And that's a 7, 8 pair. So that becomes a 2, 9 pair, which means this square surely can't be a 2, he says. No, it can't be a 2. You can't make 3 different numbers, even with 0, add up to 2. So that's going to be 9. That's going to be 2. Now what? Now 9, is it? 9 is in one of those 2 cells. 7, 8. So this column, it doesn't look like it's in any way finished. Oh, that's a 9 by Sudoku. But I think it is sort of finished, apart from this square is a 5 or a 6. Because we haven't resolved this top digit. So these squares, these include a Schrödinger cell. That's why I've got too many digits left in this column. 1, 2, 5 and 6. into these squares. Right. No, that doesn't work. I thought I was going to say something sensible, and of course I wasn't. Right, but if that's a 3-4 pair, this is not 3-4, so this is 2-5. Right, so I get to take 2 and 5 out of lots of cells. That could be exciting. Maybe. This is... Right, these are 3 normal digits that add up. Broken it again. No, I can have 0. Okay, right. I was thinking 3 normal digits that add up to 9, but I can't use 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 6, or 1, 3, 5. There are no ways left. But if this has 0 on it, I can make it work, can't I? So it must have 0 on it. And then we need 2 other cells that add up to... Right, they have to be 1, 8, I think. Because we need 2 other digits that add up to 9. It's not 2, 7. It's not 3, 6. It's not 4, 5. So it is 1, 8. That's going to be good, isn't it? 0, 1, 8. That's not able to be 8. Right, and that fixes the 8 and the 7 in this box, look. So there's now... Right, I suppose we do know what these digits are. These have to be 3, 4... I want to say 3, 4, and 7. That's going to do some things for us, I think. No, that one's not 7 either. So hang on. No, I was about to say something that's not right. So we have a 0, 1, 3, 4 combination. I'm going to think about that in the context of this digit in a second. I just wanted to come back to Sudoku though, because if this is... Right, yeah, hang on. I know one of these is a 1, 5 Schrödinger cell. It can't be this one, because that would put 2 1s in the row. So that's got to be a normal 6 and loses its colour, not its religion. Can we get any 3s in the corner in this puzzle? Maybe... Yes, here. We can maybe get one here, I think. But let me come back to this. This has got to be a Schrödinger cell that is exactly the digits 1 and 5. Now, well, let's do these first. What are these? These are 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the Schrödinger cell is down here, which makes sense with that being Schrödinger. Okay, so these lose their colour. Do we know the nature of the Schrödinger cell in this domino? Do we know what it's got in it? No, it's not. It's not like the others. Oh, that's got to be a 6. I've got to put 3 6s around here. So let's obey our pencil marks. Now these 2 digits, presumably we know these, do we? They've got to be 9. I haven't put 0. 0 and 9. Okay, that's going to be great, is it? Have we got... Does that mean this is a 0? Is my question. I think it does. I've got to put 0 in this column. It can't go here because I know there's a 0 in one of these to allow this 1 to exist. So I think 0 has to go right up there. Which looks like it's trying to do something and then failing. Right, okay, this can't be 3 or 4 because it sees 3 and 4 here. So in this column we've not put 1, 2 and 5 in, I think. No, hang on, that's not right. Sorry, I don't trust this pencil mark. I've suddenly seen I've got a 5 here. I think that means this is a naked single 2. Which means this is the 1. Which means this is the 0. Which means this is a 6-2 pair. And we don't know the order, I don't think. That's annoying. We might know it, but I can't see it immediately. But this column has not got 8 in it, so that becomes 8. Which means this is not 8. Does that matter? Does that prove what this is? Does it mean that? Well, it means that is an 8. This, oh, I see. Yeah, that cell, whether it's Schrödinger or not, contains an 8, because it's the only place 8 can go in this box. And that means that's not an 8, which means that is an 8, which is very, very strange. But I'm very happy about it because it gives me another digit. Now what on earth is going on in this box? We've not put in 5, 7 and 9. So this is a 579 triple. And I haven't got a Scooby-Doo what that means. This is just so hard. In a good way, though, isn't it? It's hard in a good way. It's brilliant. Okay, right. We know the order of this because that had to be that. The 0, 1 was adding up to 1, so this is adding up to 8. That's going to be useful, isn't it? Now the 1. Well, it might be the 1 in this box is somewhere over here. Is it the 8s then? There's an 8. There's an 8 in this domino very explicitly because it can't be there because it would clash with this. Oh, there's an 8 here. There we go. So this is 8. Now 8 is not the Schrödinger cell there. So in this row we've got to put in 2, 3, 4 and 7. But there's a Schrödinger 2, 4 in one cell. So the other digits are 3 and 7. And I don't think... I'm actually going to get rid of all of the corner pencil marks here. I think that they aren't helping me. No, maybe I'll leave the 1s in. I do know there's 2s and 4s. There's a 2, 4 Schrödinger cell over here. And there's a 7 up here as well. And then there's one more digit, but I don't know what it is. I don't know, but I'm reasonably heartened. I think we are sort of slowly getting somewhere, aren't we? Probably. It's probably maths on this combination somehow, in a way I don't understand immediately. Can we get the order of this 2, 6? That would be really handy. I don't think so. I know there's a 2, 4 Schrödinger up there. Is there some reason it can't be somewhere? Oh, that's beautiful. I've just seen it. It's absolutely beautiful. How could that be a Schrödinger 6-9? If that's a Schrödinger 6-9, that cell can't exist. Oh, good grief. Oh, that's just showing off. That is showing off, not by me, of course, by the great Christounet. So this is an 8 and something. But more importantly, it's going to fix all my Schrödinger cells, isn't it? So that's now real. This is Schrödinger. These are not Schrödinger now. They're normal. Oh, it's close. Right, so there's a 2, 4 pair. I don't know which cell, but in one of those there's a 2, 4 pair. So that's not 2 or 4. That's not 2. That's not 4. And there's a 6, 9 pair that's emerged in this column, which I'm sure is in some way important. This is Schrödinger. It contains 8 and one other digit. Right, okay, well let's think about the maths of this then. So what we know, one of these is a 6. So does that go... We've got the digits. We've got the digits, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a spare 0 to play with. So what combinations of digits are difficult here? 5, right. Okay, here is a thought. That cell can't be a 1, I'm going to claim. Because you can't put 2 and 5 on the same line, can you? If you put 2 and 5 on the same line, there's no way to get to 9 because you'd have to add another 2 in. And that's going to put 2 2s in the box. So 2 and 5, and it's impossible to make those add up to 6. So 2 and 5 are on different lines. But this line hasn't got, in this domino, it's not got a 2 or a 5 in it, so that's got to be a 2 or a 5. So that's the 2 or the 5 on this line. Now, if this is a 5, Bobbin's face, this is a 5, it's fine. You can do either number, I think. This is a 5. How can I have so many options left in this box? It's absurd. I've basically not done anything here. That's not a 1. Again, it's just a ludicrously lightweight deduction. Could we? Wow, I don't know. I really don't know how to do this. Oh, right, here's a tiny point actually, which is an obvious point, but I hadn't seen it. 1 in this box is in that cell, which is a Schrödinger cell. So 1 is there accompanied by something else. But that's going to take 1 at least out of these 2 cells. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's good. That's good. Where does 1 go in this column? Sorry, I thought I'd botched it again. That's 0. So this is 0. So this is not 0 now. Okay. So there is now a 0. Look, in this triple here, the 0 is up there. So that's not 0. So this is 3 or 5. So if that's 5, what does that mean? That's 1. And that could be just about anything. All right, let's try and make that 5. If that's 5, that's then 3. Oh, Okay, so if this is 5, this is 9, I'm now seeing, because we'd have to make these 2 cells either add up to 1, which is clearly impossible, or add up to 4, which is possible. So if this is 5, this is 0, 4. And this is a 1, 2, 3 triple, and we'd know the order, 3, 1, 2. And this would be a 6. So, and if this is a 2 then, yeah, if this is a 2, these are always... These are always 0, 4, aren't they? Or is that wrong? If this is 5, how can I... Yeah, here's the question. How do you put a 3 on this line? If you put a 3 on it, the other 2 digits either have to add up to 3, which is not possible, or they have to add up to 6. Oh, for 0... Oh, hang on, no. No, 3, 4, 2 might work. No, what am I talking about? 3, 4, 2. If I put... Oh, I've lost my mind. I've lost my mind. Sorry, I think I've just... I thought I was concluding this as always a 0, 4 pair. But I think I've lost my mind. So if this is 5... I know this is 9 then, and I know that is a 0, 4 pair, but if this is 2, this could be 3, 4 adding up to 9. No, because I know the 0 is up here. I think this is the point. I know the 0 is up here from this column. I don't know. Yeah, that does seem reasonable, doesn't it? So if the 0 is up here, I can't do 2, 3, 4 adding up to 9. That won't work. So this is if this is 2, I have to get to 6 somehow, which is always 0, 4. So I think this is 0, 4. I think. Which means this is 3. Which means this is 7 and this is 4. And that might be exciting. If this is so, this is 0, 4. Let's get rid of the corner mark 0. I've got a horrible feeling about this. 7 is up there. This is a 6, 9 pair. So we've used up all of the high digits in this column. So these are all low digits. These are from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of those is a 2, 4 pair. So this is from, and this can't be 0. So this is 1, 3, or 5. Right, which... No, I don't like this. No, okay, yeah, that's fair enough, isn't it? So 0 in this column is up at the top here, along with the 2, 4 pair. So we can get rid of 1, 3, and 5 from this, and this isn't 0. Right, so 0 is in the corner. 0 goes in the corner, which means it loses its thingy. That becomes a 2, 4 pair. That loses its ability to be a Schrödinger cell. There's now a 2, 4 here, so this is a 3, 7 pair going across row 2, and now that's not. I don't think that's resolved still. How are we ever going to resolve which way round these Schrödinger cells go? We're going to have to. So one of these is a 2, 4. So we could resolve it by learning which of these is 2. That's probably the way. So that's probably something over here is going to tell us which way round these go, I think. That would be my guess. But this is very peculiar, isn't it? So how do we do this now? We know this is Schrödinger. We know it's got an 8 in it. And I want to resolve these. And this is Schrödinger. Okay, I can do that. Right. Yeah. Okay, that can't be a 2. I don't think. Because if that's 2... this is a 5, which means this arrow we know is adding up to 9, and that takes 9 out of this square, which means this is a Schrödinger 6, 8. But if that's a 2, that's a 6, so I get 2 6s in the row. That won't work. So that's got to be a 6, that's got to be a 2. And that means this is a 5, which takes 5 out of these squares. It means this square's a 2, which means this is a 6. This is a 9. Come on, please. Now, if that's a 2, this becomes a 3, 5 pair now, so that's got to be our old friend the 1. So that's not 1. Imagine if this still doesn't solve. That 2 seems to say that's a 6. So that's the right. So this is a 1, 2 Schrödinger cell. I still can't see how to do it. This square has become an 8 now. Okay, so this has become a 6 by Sudoku. This is 8 and 9, so that's no longer 9. I mean, I know this is done somehow, some way. I just can't see how to do it. This is... oh, I mean, this is mad. Absolutely crazy stuff. Maybe I can do... oh, I know one thing I can do. I can use the fact that I was looking at this to pinpoint the Schrödinger cells, which now must be in the corner. So that's the Schrödinger 2, 4 that must exist in the top 6 thing. That's forcing this to be a 1. That might do something. Yeah, that seems to give me a 1 here by Sudoku, which means this is 7, this is 3. Ah, no 3's in the corner. No, I don't like that. You rotten thing. I think that has just blown my ability to have a 3 in the corner. I'm not certain, but I think so. Now, okay, so this box is done, look. We can fill this in with a 6. Sorry, we had an interruption then from a very insistent little girl who wanted to have her story read. So I just had to step away at a very inopportune moment. But I think we've nearly done it, haven't we? I've just got a 6 here by the looks of things. So let's just see. I very nearly committed to just carry on regardless. But knowing this puzzle, it's probably got some kick in the tail, and it would probably not have been a good idea. Now I've completely lost my train of thought, of course. So what do we do now? I've got the Schrödinger thingy here, so this is not Schrödinger thingy anymore. That's got to be green thingy, and it's not 3 or 4, so that's 5 in the corner. This is not 5. Okay, that is the Schrödinger cell. That's the final Schrödinger piece. So we have Schrödingers in every single box, hopefully row and column as well. 0 here means that's a 0. That's a 9. I think actually we are nearly finished, aren't we? 5, 7, 9, 7, 0. Come on, please. 0, 4, 4, 3. 3. Oh, I was nearly finished. Okay, well, that's great. That is great. And that is great. I think we've done it. Let's see. Actually, no, the thingy's not going to work, to be honest. It does work. How on earth does it know that? Okay, the mystery and magic of Sven has allowed it to know that we finished the puzzle, even though I haven't actually put digits that I thought the computer understood into these cells. That was absolutely brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. There wasn't a single part of that wasn't as mad as a badger and utterly wonderful. Everything about it was intricate and lovely, and the arithmetic was at all stages fair. The geometry was interesting and fair. It's just hard because it's a completely new way. It was virtually a completely new way of thinking. I very rarely do Schrödinger cell puzzles. As you could probably tell, I'm lagging behind Bellsita, who's probably done another 9 or 10 puzzles in the time it took me to solve this. But I loved that. That was absolutely gorgeous. Christounet, take a bow. Bellsita, we applaud you for basically inspiring, for being the muse to Christounet's genius constructing powers. That was a really, really cool puzzle, and I loved it. Let me know in the comments if you had a go. Let me know if you managed to get through it as well, and let me know especially if you enjoyed the logic herein, because that was great. And we'll be back later with another edition of Kraken the Cryptic.